Hey guys, this is Jeff Conti, your YouTube knife mentor. I wanted to do a video on obstacles that might get in your way of wanting to build a knife or actually building the knife. So I started listing some items that I thought might get in your way. And as I went along, I found more and more and more possible obstacles. So I'm guessing I didn't get them all. But here's what I have so far. I'm listing them because I'd like for you to think about listing them, and then I want you to find ways to solve the problem, okay? If you want to build a knife, but these are getting in your way, one of two things is happening. You don't actually want to build a knife, or you're just not sure how to get around it. So identify your problem or your obstacle and then look for ways around it. If you can't think of a way around it, let me know. Share them with me and I'll give you a hand with finding solutions. I don't do things for people because that doesn't help them. So here are some of the obstacles. Skills. Look, there are a lot of skills, okay? Tons of skills. How to use a file properly is a skill. And so just learning the skills necessary. Oh, look, I thought of another one. Let me just write it down. Knowing the process of how to make a knife can be an obstacle when you don't know how. That's what I'm here for. Or, if you want to spend the time and figure it out, that's a good thing too. But knowing the process might be an obstacle. So back to skills. There are tons of skills out there. You're going to have to take some time, I agree, and learning these skills. You can do it on your own. You can do it with other people that are like-minded, or you can do it with a mentor. Even across Facebook and YouTube, mentorship can help you. Tools. Man, I'm here to tell you there's no end to tools, okay? If you're going to not make a knife because you don't have all the fancy tools, I don't think you really want to make a knife that bad. So tools are an obstacle. They are an issue. There are some tools that you must have. Even if you just borrow them, you got to have some tools. The fact is you can't, take a piece of steel and form it with your fingertips. I mean, you got to have some tools. So money. Hey, I'm with you there, okay? This has been a 40-year hobby/business for me, and I use the money that I make from my knife making to buy more tools and supplies and materials and pay my bills. I call this a self-supporting hobby. Some of you, it might be a business. Chad over at CK Knife and Tool, I think he's doing pretty good. He might actually start being able to actually bring some income in besides supporting his hobby. So that's really great, isn't it? But money can be an obstacle in the beginning. So it takes, effort, right? And you start off with less tools and less opportunities, but over time, if you reinvest your money, assuming you sell some knives, then you get more tools and more supplies, and so it helps build your hobby. Time is often a problem, an obstacle. There's only 24 hours in the day. We have work, we have family, we have other things to do, church, whatever. The fact is, if your glass is running out, and for me, knife making actually puts more water in the glass, figuratively speaking. Time, I have to make time sometimes, and I'm retired. So you're going to have to work through it. It's just, unless, again, look, nothing I'm doing here is going to help you if you don't actually want to make a knife. Okay, if that's the case, just call a shovel and move out, and go do something else that you do want to do. Because you had to learn how to tie your shoes, you had to learn how to walk, everything is a skill, everything takes time, everything takes tools even. You got to have shoes, or even if you don't have shoes, you still got to be able to eat with your fingers. I don't know, off of what? In the dirt? Look, everything is a is a trade, okay? There are people out there that want to be an obstacle. They don't want you to be successful. They don't want you to do something that they can't do. They want you to be with them, or I'm here to tell you, children, they don't care if you're making a knife. They want you to spend time with them. And I think you should spend time with your children. But if you're going to take some time for yourself, if you're going to learn how to make a knife, you got to realize that there's some people that don't want you to make a knife, and they have a variety of reasons for it. So you're going to have to overcome that. You've got responsibilities, if you're a dad, if you're a mom, if you're an employee, if you're a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, I already said mom and dad, but anyway, you got responsibilities to take care of. That means time management, right? So it can be an obstacle, but you got to work through it. Oppression. Okay, I don't mean depression, I mean oppression, because the hugeness of making a knife is a big deal, okay? There are a lot of aspects to making a knife that can get in your way. And it can be oppressive in terms of how much there is to do. But the fact is, you never walk a mile without taking a first step. You never eat an elephant without taking a first bite, et cetera, ad nauseum, right? It is a huge task. You break it down into the process, and then you just get started. Okay, excuses. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I think about excuses? Excuses are bullshit. That's all there is to it. I hate to swear. Sometimes I do like to swear, actually, but I don't think it's a good plan. But in this case, excuses are bullshit. That's all there is to it. If you don't want to make a knife, admit it. If you do want to make a knife, there aren't going to be any excuses. You're going to come up with problems, and then you're going to come up with solutions. Excuses means I'm not responsible for not making a knife because. And there is no I'm not responsible because you are the only one who's responsible. Okay? So there are obstacles. We can get past them, but there are no excuses, period. Injuries. Yep, you're going to get them. You might already have them. You're going to get more. I can't tell you. I've been making 40 knives for over 40 years, and I'm still getting cuts and scrapes and stab wounds and all kinds of crap. And you know what? I just don't care. I drip my blood on my floor. I make pretty designs on the shop floor, and I have a first aid kit out there, which I rarely use. I just let myself bleed most of the time. Probably the worst thing is when I touch the sanding wheel with my fingers, and I get those abrasions. Man, those hurt. Abrasions I always wash. I'm a retired Special Forces medic. In general, bleeding doesn't cause any problems because it's pushing the bacteria out of the wound, out of the injury, I mean. The difference between a wound and an injury, a wound is received in combat from the enemy. Okay, an injury is something that happens to you, whether it's a car accident or, something in the shop. So injuries, let them bleed. If it's an abrasion, go wash it out and put some antibiotic ointment on it. That's a different animal completely. Location, no kidding. One of my first knives, probably about the third or fourth knife I ever made, I was living in a mobile home with my wife, and so there's only 2 bedrooms, and of course our bedroom was where we slept, and but there was a spare bedroom, and it was a mobile home with one of those closets that had drawers underneath the closet, right? I mean, I was young. We didn't have any money. We didn't have a house. And I clamped my knife, blank, that I was working on to the bottom floor of the closet, and I used where the drawer pulled out, I used that where I put my clamp, and I worked on my knife in the closet of the spare bedroom of the mobile home. So I don't want to hear your excuses that you don't have location. That's baloney. Okay, other hobbies. You know what? If the other hobbies are more important than making a knife, I get it. Some people are so passionate about gambling, that's all they can do. Or some people are so passionate about gold panning, that's all they can do, all they can think about. Some people are, if you're so passionate about other things, then you don't want to do this. That's all there is to it, because you're going to make time. And other hobbies get in the way. Hey, I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything. I like to shoot gophers. I shoot gophers all the time. but I take time and I go out and spend on my hobby. So there's this little thing called balance, right? You got to do other things. Other hobbies are good too, but they don't prevent you, or at least you can figure out a way to spend time making a knife and do your other hobbies. Procrastination. Now, this is an easy one, okay? Easy to be a problem. It's easy to say, oh man, I don't want to go out in the shop tonight. There's so much to do out there. My shop's messy. That's a whole nother obstacle right there. I should add that one too. Dirty shop. That can be an obstacle. Anyway, procrastination gets in your way, and you got to find ways around it. So here's the thing I learned some time ago, is that there is a feeling that comes along with procrastination, and accompanying that feeling is a feeling of, I should go do this. So when you get that feeling, I should go do this, you got about 5 seconds before procrastination will overrule doing the thing you're going to do. In this case, knife making. So if you want to procrastinate, when that feeling comes that says, I should go do this, you got 5 seconds or less. So here's what's going to happen. If you obey the idea of going and doing it, and you get out in the shop, you're going to turn on the lights, you're going to go set up your knife you're working on, you're going to turn on a machine, you're going to feel way better if you get past the procrastination, okay? And you can link procrastination and excuses and oppression, all this other stuff. As far as excuses, you already know everything about that. Look, knowing the process, I'm with you there. It's a big thing. Sometimes it's part of the oppressive nature of building a knife. That's why I'm here. I want to help you with the process. If you already know the process, then it's not an obstacle for you. And then a dirty shop or a dirty space. Look, man, when you're using the sander and the dang micarta is going all over the place, or the Coca-Cola is going all over the place, whatever, I'm with you. You got to clean it up after you finish working on your knife. Before you go in the house, clean up your space, because it'll make the shop inviting when you want to get into this procrastination. Oh yeah, see, my shop's dirty. I don't want to go out and clean it, blah, blah. No, clean up your shop before, or your garage, or your spare bedroom, or your closet, wherever you're making a knife. Clean it up after you're done. That will really help out with this procrastination and making excuses and all that stuff. Okay? So, I don't know. I'm confident that there are more obstacles. I'm confident we could fill this page and a few more. But, some of these won't be obstacles for some of you. Some of these will be obstacles for some of you. Here's the deal. You got to figure out how to get over it. You got to figure out how to get around it. You got to figure out how to work your way through it. If all you have is when your children are taking a nap, that's the time you have, that's what you do. You got to figure a way around it. If you got to bring your child out to the shop when you're, filing away on your knife, let me talk about that just for a minute. There's this thing called safety, right? We got personal protective equipment, respirators, and all that stuff. Don't bring your children out to your shop when you're doing all this crap. Unless they're old enough to wear a respirator. Don't be an idiot. Take care of your family. If you have a pet, you can't put a respirator on your dog. A guy was working. I heard this story. I don't know it to be true, but I believe the source. So I'm repeating it to you because I believe it. He had a dog, his pet, out in the shop with him when he was working on Mother of Pearl. And of course, dogs, you can't wear respirators. The dog was laying down on their bed while the guy was working on Mother of Pearl, and he went at the end of the evening to go in the house and called his dog, and his dog was dead. So micarta and other things. G10 is a fiberglass laminate. You can imagine how good that is for your dog. So don't just be safe for yourself, but consider others. Okay, I went off on a rant, but That's its own. Look, if you want to go out there and get pleural thickening or uh, lung cancer or whatever, that's your business. Don't take your children and your dog to do it with you. Okay, what else is there? I can't think of anything else, guys. This is Jeff Conte, your YouTube knife mentor. Go out and have fun making a knife.